So, welcome back to Journey to a Smarter Home with Corelli Computing. I'm Leon Corelli. So, I'm kind of excited because today got a little delivery. Ta-da! Oh, I'm dropping crap now. Hold on. Oh, not important. Ta-da! This is the S2 Z-Wave Plus USB stick. So, this little mamma jamma is made by Zooz, I believe is called. It's a Z-Wave Plus USB stick, and if all goes according to plan, we should be able to, as I reach down into my magical cavern, plug this into our Home Assistant Raspberry Pi, and with it, we should be able to get rid of that Samsung SmartThings hub. Now remember, it's really cool that it works with the SmartThings to bring your Z-Wave devices in, but that still makes us reliant on the cloud. Because in order to send commands to those Z-Wave devices, it has to go to the hub sends it up, back down. We want to cut out cloud control of the local devices for security, and also for speed, and finally for reliability. So if this works, we can retire that Gen 1 hub. I'll probably factory reset it, and I'll actually be able to give it to the new homeowners of our first home here so they can use it with the smart devices that are already installed for them and their use. And we can use our new Raspberry Pi and Z-Wave stick here from Zooz to control the devices in our new smarter home. Will it work? I've been told that it was. People on Reddit and on the forums are saying, hey, it's the way to go. I will say I've got two other things in the mail. I have a new case for the Raspberry Pi with some more cooling. I have a better SD card. One commenter said that the biggest drawback he found with his Raspberry Pi and Home Assistant setup was that the SD card pooped out after a while. And while it was awesome to get this 32 gig card with the Raspberry Pi set, it's definitely a generic off-brand. It could be fine. I could have won the flash lottery and it's fine. But just in case, we're getting a high-speed, very reliable Lexmark card that's coming in. And we also have an Intel NUC that I was able to pick up for really cheap on eBay. If you're ever looking into picking up any of the Intel NUCs, the NUCs, make sure you check eBay, because there are a lot of people who buy them to use as their primary computers, and then they realize this isn't as robust or powerful as I was hoping for. And if you're looking to get a little box to tinker around with, it already has the processor included. Frequently, they'll also have the RAM and the hard drives because they're getting rid of the whole shebang. You can get them for hundreds of dollars less. So I have one of those also en route, because I've been told by several people that once you get above 50, 60 devices, particularly if you're doing a lot of Z-Wave with Home Assistant, you're going to want something with a little more power behind it to be able to respond as quickly as it's responding now. So we'll have the Intel NUC, because even if we move away from Home Assistant, if we're going to try out things like Home Seer, we can use that NUC for that. And the Pis, I have to say, I am becoming a Raspberry Pi convert. This little dude is a ton of fun. So even if we move away from Home Assistant, although it's winning me over, if we did move away, I would still be able to make use of this Raspberry Pi and the new case to do some other cool things and some other projects I have planned for the new smarter home. But I digress. You're not here to talk about that yet. That's a different video series. Today, we're going to get Z-Wave enabled natively on this Raspberry Pi running Home Assistant. Let's give it a try. Okay, so we're back in Home Assistant's dashboard, and we're going to get ready to install this new S2 Z-Wave Plus USB stick. So if you're curious about what USB stick you should be using, make sure you check out home-assistant.io. There is a whole section on Z-Wave controllers, and it lists the devices that have been confirmed to work. And from what I've been able to glean online, it looks like the AOTech Z-Stick Series 5 and the Zooz Z-Wave Plus S2 are the ones that I'm seeing used the most frequently. They're also the ones that are easiest to get your hands on. They both are available on Amazon. If you go through the reviews, you'll see that there are negative reviews and a lot of positive reviews. I've noted that a lot of the positive reviews are all from Home Assistant people, and a lot of the negative reviews are from people trying to install other Z-Wave controllers like on their PC. So if you're watching this video, you're looking at setting up Home Assistant, or you're considering doing Home Assistant in your smart home, then you should be good to go with any of these, even if you see a couple negative reviews on Amazon. But don't take my word for it. Always do your research, because products change, SKUs change, and it could be that what's in stock right now, while it has the same name brand, it's a different run of devices that are having an issue. So we're going to be doing a Zooz Z-Wave Plus S2 stick today. So let's go back to our dashboard. In order to do this, I've been told that we need to make sure we have the proper add-ons installed. So here we are in the official add-on store, but we're going to scroll down a bit. And okay, so we've got the Z-Wave to MQTT down here. We're not setting up MQTT yet. At least I hope not, because that's a whole bunch more stuff we got to do. So it looks like, I'm not seeing anything else here we have to install. So you know what? Let's just rip the Band-Aid off. Let's see what happens if we just plug that stick in. So I'm going to go ahead and plug it in, and we're going to see if we see anything change over here. So we're on our dashboard, and then we're going to just plug in our Z-Wave stick. I see a blue light on the Z-Wave stick, so that's good, I hope. We're going to go to our configuration and our integrations, and we're going to see if we're able to add anything Z-Wave here. So USB path, we're going to leave this blank to auto-generate, and we're going to open this up in another window in case we have to refer back to it. And we're going to hit submit. Z-Wave validation failed. Is path to the USB stick correct? Well, I don't know, Home Assistant. Is it? Okay, I guess we need to actually use this. So it looks like here is the configuration we're going to need. Z-Wave integration, correct. USB path. That all looks correct. All right, well, we just plugged it in, so maybe it just needs a second. Let's try this again. So we're going back down to Z-Wave, Z-Wave USB stick. Z-Wave validation failed. All right, well, you know what? Let's go ahead and run the update that we've been holding off on for a bit. That should cause a reboot to occur, which will hopefully get our Z-Wave. So we're going to sit here and we're going to wait for this update, but there's no need for you to wait for the update. Go get yourself a cup of tea or a cappuccino or a bag of Cheetos, and we'll check back in here in a minute. Okay, welcome back. Hope you were able to get a cup of Java. Although I guess in real time it probably was nearly instantaneous, so if you got one, kudos to you. All right, so we're restarted here. We're gonna try one more time with the integration, but if not, there's something else we can try. So we're gonna set up a new configuration, go back down to Z-Wave. We're gonna use the default, but I think we're gonna have to change that. So we'll submit. Okay, so validation failed. So I did cheat a little bit, and by cheat I mean did more research. So on the Z-Wave configuration page, you see this path? We're actually going to copy that because that appears to be the path that it's actually using, and you can find that information by going to your configuration, and I'm sorry, not configuration, HASS.io, and going to System. Now under System, you'll see Hardware, and you can see what's plugged in. So we only have one thing plugged in, so I'm not sure why we even have the second designation, but this one matches what the Home Assistant website says is likely the correct path. So let's give it a try. So we're going to go back to our configuration, to our integrations, and we're going to add Z-Wave. Now, with a network key, we're going to let it auto-generate, but I've been reading a lot about the difference between, normal Z-Wave devices and secure Z-Wave devices, like, for instance, the lock on your front door. And those require you to generate a key. Since we're just kind of dipping our toes in, I just want to see if the proof of concept works. So we're going to set it up normally without generating a private key if we can, so that way we can see if we can add a few light switches. If that works well, then we can circle back around and talk about setting it up fully with a key, since we're going to have to wipe everything and rebuild it anyway when we get to our new smarter home. So let's go ahead and add that USB path. All right, we're going to leave the network key blank to auto-generate and submit. There we go, success. Created config for Z-Wave, configure. All right, this integration has no devices. Go back to our overview, see if we see anything being added here. Go back to our configuration and our integrations. All right, this integration has no devices. So we need to figure out how we add devices now. But it does look like we were able to add the USB stick. So if we want to add devices, now with everything else, they kind of just added automatically. But how do we add them manually? Well, luckily, right here in this office, we have an AOTech smart plug. So I'm curious if we set it into a pairing mode, if it will appear in the integration, or if it's separate, if we have to add them separately. I don't think so. All right, well, let's give it a try with this AOTech device. Okay, so upon doing a little digging, I was hoping to leave stuff connected into SmartThings while we got them set up, but of course we can't do that because then it doesn't know what network to be on. So we put the Office smart switch into an exclusion mode with SmartThings. So we went to the SmartThings app, we removed it, it put the hub into exclusion mode, we pressed the button on the switch, and now it's blinking because it's looking for a new home. So let's see if we can give it a new home. So we're going to go to our Z-Wave control panel under our configuration, and we're going to see if we can add a node. Well, when all else fails, we can always restart our server. So we're going to give the server a restart, and we'll check back here in a minute and see if we can get this switch added. Okay, so you know those times when you try to reinvent the wheel and you're sure you've missed something complex that's at the root of everything? Yeah, so if you look here, we see the smart energy switch is now showing in our panel. And if I do this, it controls my light super fast, super great. We go to our configuration and look under Z-Wave. You see it showing up under the nodes. So the problem was that after I had excluded the Aeon Smart Energy switch from SmartThings and I put it into pairing mode, it never actually registered with Home Assistant as being in pairing mode. This node 4 is actually not the switch. It's some other unknown node. So I'll have to do some more research and try to figure out what this stealthy secret node 4 is. But when I finally got fed up and realized I had been supposed to have been packing for about, an hour, I went down to just unplug the smart switch, and I pressed the button 3 times, just one more time to see if I could get it back into SmartThings. And the minute I did, it popped into the Z-Wave node management. So there's a few things that we'll talk about as we finish this video up, but long and short of it is be patient. And whenever you think you started from the beginning, be sure that you actually have, especially after you've excluded devices from older systems. Because once you do that, you need to make sure Z-Wave is running correctly on Home Assistant before you do the add node and have it in pairing mode. So, a few more thoughts and we'll wrap this video up. Okay, so learned a lot today. Spent a whole lot more time on Z-Wave getting this set up than I wanted to or that I had planned on. I've got lots of packing still to do, so it's going to be a late night. But I wanted to finish this video up with a few thoughts and just some general feelings as we wrap up part 3 of a journey to a smarter home, testing out Home Assistant. So first, as always, Home Assistant is extraordinarily customizable. The UI is actually very user-friendly, despite what you may think or what you may see, especially if you look at people who are discussing it circa end of 2018, before they had really upgraded the iOS OS. However, you really, just be real. I know there are a lot of people online who say, no, it's super easy, it's worth doing, it's not that complicated. Here's the real truth. It is not that it is complicated, but it is very, very finicky. You really need to want to spend the time and have the drive to troubleshoot strange issues, even if they're of your own making. Now, if we were keeping things simple, if I wanted to just use the SmartThings hub as the bridge, we already saw in part 2 that works. But again, you lose the entire purpose of Home Assistant if you're relying on one of those third-party cloud-based hubs. The entire point of this system is to be able to run locally, run securely, run reliably. So if you're gonna go that route, if that's the route you want to go, Home Assistant can definitely do that for you. And I'm definitely gonna keep playing with it. I'm definitely, at this point, I still am gonna keep it as the backbone, and it hasn't pushed me away yet, but it has given me pause, because some of these issues involved restarts and things not necessarily coming up right away. And what happens when you have to recreate all of this? Now, I know you can save your backup files. Again, we're going to have an entire episode about disaster recovery. I'm a backup fanatic. The best single thing you can do to protect any data system is to have a reliable and regular backup protocol in place. But I don't necessarily want to have to worry about the brains of my new smarter home being a source of frustration or making things more complicated. I want to set up a home that is smarter, not just so I can turn off lights with my smartphone. If I wanted to do that, I would just use SmartThings. I would just use Philip Hue. I would use, heck, I was going to say you can use the Iris from Lowe's, but they discontinued that. But you get what I'm saying. You could use these consumer level smart switch systems that purport to be about home automation, but really they're just giving you direct control of an on and off switch, which is still very useful. But what we're shooting for with this project is to automate the home, to have effects, cause and effect, to have if this then that times 10. So when you're walking down a hallway in the middle of the night without having to think about it, without having to interact with it, your house knows, hey, let's bring the lights up a little bit, but not too much because it's in the middle of the night, and we only need to bring up the lights to the bathroom because that's the direction the motion is going. Or, hey, the garage door is opening, I can tell by presence sensors that Leon's home, the garage door is opening, it's within these time parameters, so let's go ahead and make sure that the house is the correct temperature. Let's make sure that the great room lights are turned on. Let's make sure that the dog door is unlocked so the pups can go out back because now we can watch them. Things like that. Of course, the front door, an example I've given before, where when you have a button pressed or even a knock felt, that it automatically triggers lights in parts of the house where you might not be able to hear those sounds, and also sends a shot to your phone of who's at the door. These are automations. These are things that make your day-to-day life easier, and they make it seem like your house is thinking about you. And that's what we want to shoot for. And Home Assistant definitely can let us do that, but if its backbone feels fragile, if minor tweaks or additions or new features can cause the entire thing to fall in on itself until you fix it, that could be a problem potentially. And now for me, I like tinkering. As frustrating as this was trying to figure out what was going on with Z-Wave and why I couldn't get this one smart switch to connect, as frustrating as that was, for me, it's also one of those things that drives me forward. I enjoy that. That's why I do it for a living. It's fun to have these problems that frustrate you because you get to just dig into it and troubleshoot and use the breadth of information that's available to all of us online to find out where the issue is, even if it's an issue you created. So we're definitely going to keep experimenting with Home Assistant. We're going to push forward. We're going to try adding more Z-Wave devices. Like I said, we have a new case coming in, so we'll put this Raspberry Pi into a more permanent, better cooled home. We're going to swap to a new SD card, and at that point, we may start fresh from scratch again to see if I've learned the steps. Can we do this faster? Now that we've gotten over the initial setup learning curve, how quickly can we get a Home Assistant Raspberry Pi up and running? And also, we have that Intel NUC on the way. And I'm very, very curious to see if that has any benefits or positive effects to the entire setup process. If that solid-state hard drive and I think it's 8 gigs of RAM and a Core i3, is that going to give us really fast loading of the Z-Wave protocol, for instance? And of course, we haven't even touched on what many feel in the Home Assistant community is one of the core benefits, which is that MQTT, the mosquito linking to Z-Wave. So, this is really exciting. It's also very frustrating. I hope this video is helpful. As always, please let me know down in the comments below what you learned, what you didn't. If you saw something that could make this journey easier, or you have ideas or suggestions, please let me know. Comments have already been super helpful. And we're going to keep going down this road. We're going to keep on this journey to a smarter home. And in a couple weeks is the official move. So hopefully by this weekend I'll be able to make a decision if we're going to order that Habitat to also arrive. And I wonder what that install experience would be like. It may be worth doing even if we stick with Home Assistant, just so we can truly compare the two from a prosumer. I hate that term, but a step above a consumer level. But I digress. We're getting way far afield. This video is long enough as it is. Thanks for being here. Thanks for joining us on a journey to a smarter home, and I'll catch you next time.